Ah, good one this week, folks. Collecturbation is Grand Funk. We'll start off with this one. Grand Funk's colossal live album. There are live albums and there are live albums. This is quite firmly the latter. Recorded at the Jacksonville Coliseum on June 23rd, 1970 by a band that had scarcely existed a full year. The back says, all recordings are unedited and all events are presented here exactly as they occurred. 2 words, mass hysteria.
Years before Made in Japan or The Song Remains the Same, this tasty gatefold double LP unleashed itself upon the world, effectively setting the template for how to deliver a live album in the new decades. The bands continuously must remind the crowd between songs to back up. The people in the second row can't see if you sit on each other's shoulders.
He says, come on, y'all, we want to play. They're like rushing the stage the whole time. The overall impression is just bedlam, right? Of course, musically, Grand Funk are shit hot, storming out of the gates with the perfect song from On Time. It's like they wrote the song for the ultimate opener. It's called Are You Ready? And based on the deafening roars, we can assume they were. The band sounds almost feral, shrieking and slashing across the wah pedal in thundering 6-minute take of In Need.
Despite the heat and the crowd, the vocal harmonies are still superb. Over Brewer's crazed racket, TNUC introduces a blistering drum solo that eclipses even the one on the debut.
TNUC. I guess you just have to spell it backwards. Sorry.
The impromptu jam, Mark Says All Right, non-LP, may be the hottest point of the record. Farner's buttery leads just weeping, feedback squealing like mad against a liquid R&B groove. File next to a band of gypsies and kick out the jams in terms of must-own proto-metal live albums.
Mark Says All Right is not even a single. They're just fucking around, and it's like the best part of the album. Anyway, check this out. This is Heartbreaker Live. Okay, Collecturbation 2. I had to include this one because the record is so groovy looking. Grand Funk E Pluribus Funk. They're on the money. Okay. Grand Funk were so ahead of their time that by the time the golden age of heavy psych began to kick in earnestly, they were already on their 5th record. Housed in this handsome coin-shaped embossed album cover, E Pluribus Funk would be the final record under the nefarious management of Terry Knight's Drop the Cash for a Rolls era. The rigorous touring and bitter squabbles over finances don't affect the album's potency, however. The shorter songs trim the album's runtime to a tidy 35 minutes, and it's all packed with the usual funk-laced bass grooves, ripping guitar solos, and fluid percussion that fans had come to expect from these 3 R&B gurus.
The funk is as grand as ever.
The funk of 40,000 years.
Shacker's over-the-top groove and yeah-yeah-yeahs make Upsetter sound like the greatest song Free never wrote. Varner directs the lyrics in a slightly more political direction. Likely tired of singing about hippie bullshit and backstage blowjobs for the last few albums.
What's wrong with backstage blowjobs? Anyway.
Despite the curt 4-minute runtime, he rips one out of... He rips out... Despite the curt 4-minute runtime...
He must have had the flatula. Okay.
All right. Despite the curt 4-minute runtime, he rips out one of his best barnstorming solos for No Lies.
Okay, so the strings in the 9-minute closer, Loneliness, are a little schmaltzy. I'm just not a fan of that sort of accompaniment, but the band works itself into a fever pitch around the 5-minute mark, and it rivals any of their previous epics. Plus, who can go wrong with classics like the romping, organ-driven, foot-stomping music, another great opener for a live show, or the impeccable, wah-driven tribal sway of People, Let's Stop the War. I'm going to play that one for you in a minute. Grand Funk sort of lost me after this. The material after they split with Knight went down a much mellower, pop-driven alley. I don't give a fuck about the locomotions. I don't want to hear about. She's some kind of wonderful. I mean, ugh. Interestingly, there's sort of a King's X parallel here. King's X fought for years to get rid of their manager, Sam Taylor. And then as soon as they did, the quality of their music was like, so King's X, Grand Funk, totally different bands, different decades, but same result. At any rate, the 5 pillars the band forged from 69-71 are legendary for a reason, and they still sound great today. And on our Patreon page, I'm going to talk about. Look, I have not nearly as cool on CD.
Wow.
I'm going to review this album. Is it any good? I'm going to review. Maybe this is their best album, or perhaps the debut. You'll have to check out patreon.com/Snaggletooth Podcast and find out, where I burn through the rest of the Terry Knight era of Grand Funk. Let's play a song. This is People, Let's Stop the War.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.